Punch us back in.
That you found us. You found the secret
Yep.
lost.
You're still listening
episode.
to us. You're still listening to us. So
The secret lost.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about...
The Musk.
So
The ferret Musk.
it's kind of been a little bit of a uproar about Elon Musk's appearance on the Joe Rogan show.
I just want to say, and in general, ever since that little Taiwanese cave incident, he kind of had a little snappage. People were kind of already turning on him at that point, but that really flipped it over the side. Granted, he did say some dumb shit. Mm-hmm. But he was on Joe Rogan recently. I haven't seen the clip. I heard about it. I read a little bit about it, but I wasn't able to watch it.
Kind of address the controversy, although they didn't flat out say this is exactly what they're referring to. But they did say, sometimes people, when it's on the internet, say things that they can never delete, never take back. And they did directly talk about people deleting Twitter comments and how it's like once you're to that status, you don't even bother because it's already been documented. It's on your permanent record, as they directly said. So one of the things I found interesting about this was my pops gave me a call earlier this morning because...
did you see this shit with Elon Musk? Is that what he said?
Not particularly. He was more commenting on the hit that Tesla took, because that was something that transcended something that I watch. And a lot of people shit on Joe Rogan for being stupid. Just a dumb show. But he has a lot of interesting people on there. And this was one of the first shows that I've actually watched something happen on the show. And then my fucking dad calls me. And he's like, stocks dropped on Tesla. Now, he's... podcast. That's what he said. And you know what my reply to him was? I was like, I don't think he gives a shit. And
I'll bounce back. Bye.
Yeah. Well, the thing that my dad understands and that I kind of understand is Tesla hasn't turned a profit. Like, everybody making money off of Tesla, it's all speculative.
Yeah.
It's all because people believe in this
product.
Man's narrative.
Like the Unsolved Mysteries car.
The Dale car?
Yeah, the Dale car.
The Dale car.
It's a Dale car.
Oh my God, I tried to sell that so hard on some of the subreddits. I tried to sell it on Unsolved Mysteries. They didn't
don't
take
buy it there, though.
There was a place called Weird Wheels that didn't even buy it then. And it's like, come on. You guys are just posting pictures of, like, boat cars. Come on. We're talking about, like, the Dale car. We actually kind of...
It's in one of the... It's in a museum somewhere. The car that the investigators found, and it had the gas pedal held up by a 2x4 and...
Nothing, Stefan. Fucking nothing. We have found great success on this Reddit. But we've also found great
failure.
Get the fuck out of here. Even when we've thought this is
fit.
Right up your alley. It's a mystery. It's an unsolved
That's
mystery.
like women. All right, so it's all speculative though, because they haven't actually. Yeah. I mean, they have produced some product.
Tesla I've specifically. We're not talking about Elon Musk or SpaceX or any of his other. We're talking about Tesla. And
I've been in the cars. They have a product. You've been in the car.
They have a product. Yeah, I've actually the first Uber I've ever taken was a Tesla, and
first Uber I ever called myself was also a Tesla.
I turned to my date, and I was like, "Oh, it's a Tesla." And she's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's."
Do you read the paper?
So I got in. I was like, "Oh, I heard these things kind of get up and go." And he's like, "You want to see?"
Yeah,
and I was like, hell yeah. So he just gets on the freeway exit, just fucking 88 miles an hour. We're fucking traveling through time. These fucking things are
Tron,
quick.
baby.
It wasn't, if you've ever been in a fast car, it's not that spectacular. If you've ever been on what's that V2 at Six Flags, the
I just hate
magnetic
that thing because it's loud.
it sounds like it sounds like a school bus full of children shrieking.
I can't believe they don't give you earplugs. That thing's gotta bust.
There's nobody on the fucking thing, and it sounds like it's packed full of people just screaming.
It's so goddamn loud. I'm surprised they don't give you earplugs. It's got to be damaging your hearing.
So
I can hear it across the park. I'm sorry.
I don't generally follow Joe Rogan's guest schedule until it's like in my YouTube feed.
It's in your face.
But this one was like so in your face. It's like this one broke some headlines. Elon Musk, the picture with him, the blunt in his hand, smoking.
I heard he didn't even inhale.
That's kind of true.
He's smoking it like a cigar.
It was actually, I think it was a tobacco wrap mixed with it was weed and tobacco. It was
a split cigar,
highly. And it wasn't even until the end of the interview that he actually gave him the joint. Now, there was a excerpt of the episode.
Excuse me. Joe Rogan then smokes on his podcast.
Yes. He lives in California. It's legal.
Who the fuck cares?
They totally say this in the clip that it's not even presented as it's illegal. Joe Rogan even says, do you have to mind this shit because of your shareholders? Shell.
Yeah, you have to mind this shit because you're shareholders. And what did Elon Musk say? Who cares?
Yeah, he's like, it's legal here, right? And they basically briefly talk about how they've already been drinking a little bit of whiskey. Neither one of them is wasted.
No, it's sitting down with the boys for a glass of whiskey and a cigar at the lounge.
Now
it's the men's club.
I find this a good thing because so many people beyond our generation's perspective of him, I feel like his, Vodio Do, his public persona is way overblown. I really do. And that's one of the reasons he's able to, sell so many shares. It's one of the reasons he's able to get people invested into the, I don't want to say cult of Elon because...
you can say that. It's a little bit there.
Right.
I mean, before we had the guy that was referred to as Black Science Man and some other people before him.
Yeah, but I would not say...
But not in the same level. But I mean, if Elon Musk went up to my dad and was like, I got a great investment opportunity, you won't give me $1,000, my dad would probably do it. I bet your dad would do it. Maybe.
No.
No?
I don't think my dad would because...
I know a lot of people would do it, though. They'll just be like,
when it comes to investments, my pop's not a fucking idiot. That's how he's made a lot of his money. But that's a different time. That's a different story for a different time. So Musk, back to this. He has pretty much the entire body of the episode before he even has that clip that happens that everybody's watching it from. Now, one of the things about Elon Musk is that he's not a good public speaker. He stutters over himself a lot. And I think one of the things that is driving this, him smoking pot, the thing is, you can look at him. You can look at him, and he does not inhale. Mr. President, you must inhale. You know what I mean? You can, as somebody who smoked weed before, he is, he basically says it's himself. He's like, I have not felt the effects of this. And you know why? Because he did not inhale.
Yeah, he smoked it like a cigar.
Now, for this little 20-minute excerpt of a 2.5-hour interview. It might seem like this is a sizable chunk of the interview. It is not. The interview had been just as like drawn out, and this was the end of it. There had been plenty of points where Joe Rogan had basically stated, I'm too stupid for this conversation. Basically, they talked about jets.
Because he wants to do the electric jet.
Yeah. And it's a very simple principle to understand. When you get into the thinner atmosphere, there's less air resistance.
So
very simple, right? It's a simple principle to understand. Joe Rogan could not understand this. I don't know why. He
was all the dope you smoked. Just kidding.
He hadn't smoked any dope before that.
I'm just fucking around.
So the thing about those two people is Elon has the power of just the mind and no power of public speaking. And that's all Joe Rogan's power. So for a while, it was kind of like Joe Rogan berating this man with stupid questions that it was just like probably him thinking like, this is a little stupid. But being, receptive to it. But they actually got into like some genuine conversation. But by the time that they actually got to like the shot of, I'm going to hand Elon the joint, and this is where everybody's going to take their perspective from like this
entire
point on.
Episode, yeah.
Oh, and this is the screen grab. After that, it pretty much carried on the same way. Just because his method of speech is just a little weird. He has to think about a lot of stuff because he's not really thinking about it in the traditional sense. He's trying to answer it like scientifically and then trying to make it understandable.
He's trying to explain like I'm 5 everything to Joe Rogan.
And
basically.
honestly, not just to Joe Rogan, I feel like he does that a lot. I feel like he does that a good job of that a lot. And that is so hard to do. Like, okay, take your job right now and explain it to me like I'm a stupid person.
I can't.
In a
it's
sentence.
Classified.
I can. I ask people a lot of yes or no questions, and they never give me yes or no answers, and I turn things on and off again.
I like that one. That's good. I make the things that make boats go. I made a throttle.
I feel as if this dip in Tesla stock is going to be very temporary because there is no basis in why people should be investing this much in his stock already. It's then because again, though, people believe in the man, and I think that him doing that as a gesture does a huge like uplift to the people who actually use drugs non-destructively, so that they don't have to be written off or imprisoned.
I want to say I hope so. I really do. I do hope so that that's true. But at the same time, recognize it or not, he's very close to damaging his reputation just in the past end of this year, quite heavily. because it's hard in this day and age to bounce back from some of the public eye missteps he's made. Not that I think his most recent one is necessarily apprehensible or anything like that, but it's really hard. It can be happen really quick that you go down that downward slope and just end up in the rubbish heap.
Now the thing is, yeah, for somebody like Louis C.K., this is Elon Musk we're talking about. We're talking about somebody who masturbated in front of some subordinates.
I never drew that comparison, but you are.
The thing is, this is like a stand-up comic and like actors that we've been presented with. This is
Bruce Wayne?
Not Bruce Wayne, but somebody who has started multiple companies and is running multiple companies. Are you going to compare? Are you going to compare
Papa John to Elon Musk?
Are you going to compare Papa John and what he said as like a blight against an entire race versus Elon Musk? Just I called somebody a pedophile because they dissed my submarine. Like, honestly, you think people are gonna fucking, like, drive that home and shun him forever because of that?
I don't know what people are gonna do. I'm just saying that it is a slippery slope.
Okay.
Am I saying that Elon Musk is gonna explode in the next 20 minutes? No. But I'm just saying it's possible. It's a possible thing that could happen.
I already think we're already beyond it because Elon Musk never took a fucking second from doing what he is doing. Louis C.K. is being chastised for coming back a bit too early because apparently Louis C.K. came back and did some impromptu comedy sessions at some small comedy clubs, and people, like big stand-up comics, are being like, this is too soon. What the fuck are you doing? You're not even acknowledging what the fuck you did. He masturbated in front of some people.
But you read his statement, right? His apology statement?
That was a couple, that was a while ago.
I know, but do you remember his apology statement?
What was it?
It was an apology, and then at the end, he plugged an upcoming release.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't seen it. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just bringing up the plausible case that Elon Musk has damaged his reputation, and it can be hard to bring it back. And I don't know how the media is going to take the Joe Rogan podcast thing. I already know how a lot of people have commented on it, where it's just like, it's not a big deal. Like you said, it's fucking legal where he was, for starters.
Oh, you're talking about him smoking weed on the thing. You know what I think this is really going to be?
I'm talking about a cumulative effect on your perceived reputation and image.
You know what? I think it's going to be like a Palmer Luckey situation. Do you know who Palmer Luckey is? He was the guy who invented the tech behind the Oculus Rift. He started Oculus Rift. He sold it to Facebook. And basically over time, he became such a loose cannon that they're like, we gotta not play you off, but pay you off. And he's still out there doing some like really interesting things for the tech. But that's already happened a few times with Musk. There's already not that much. There is no profit in the investing for Tesla. I think this is not going to drive this stock into oblivion. This is just going to create a opportunity for new people to buy in, or for people who potentially saw the storm coming to sell, buy back. Some little, maybe, just maybe, this was some insider trading. Maybe there was some people that he told
I'm going to hit some weed on the Joe Rogan show.
Right.
Southern Body. All right, so you ready for this little excerpt from the Louis C.K. apology?
Did I buy you enough time there?
Yeah, you did. So this happened a while ago. I've never been much of a Louis C.K. fan. Me and Sean were actually at work when the story broke, and I remember reading this apology. And this is the closing statement. The beginning, the intro seems heartfelt about apologizing to the 5 women.
Now, this is when it actually happened.
Pretty close after it happened.
Okay.
He issued this apology. I'm sorry to these 5 women. I used my powerful position to take advantage of your unwillingness to blah, 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 blah. Apology.
Right, but let's not gloss over that, because that's the entire thing that makes this so bad, is that he used his clout, his position of this could potentially get them new work and make their careers. He used that to get sex. And not necessarily just sex, yeah.
Which is something that I used to joke about in a stand-up. But I'm going to read the ending paragraph here. The hardest regret to live with is what you've done to hurt someone else. And I can hardly wrap my head around the scope of hurt I brought on them. I'd be remiss to exclude the hurt that I brought upon people who I work with and have worked with, whose professional and personal lives have been impacted by all of this, including projects currently in production. The cast and crew of Better Things, Baskets, The Cops, One Mississippi, and I Love You, Daddy. I deeply regret that this has brought negative attention to my manager, Dave Becky, who only tried to mediate the situation that I caused. I brought anguish and hardship to the people at Fox who have given me so much, The Orchard, who took a chance on my movie, and every other entity that has bet on me through the years. I brought pain to my family, friends, and my children and their mother. He literally just plugged half of his shows midway through this.
Yes, but he kind of has to, because it's like, not necessarily just like, but, Roseanne got canceled recently. There's all these people.
And she said, I'm sorry to the cast and crew of Roseanne. You don't need to say, I'm sorry to the cast and crew of Better Things, The Cops, One Mississippi. I Love You, Daddy.
I know why he's saying sorry, though, because they're all losing their jobs because of him. He understands this. All those shows don't get made anymore, and all those jobs evaporate.
I think he could have... the way it's in here, I think he could have saved the apology, or the PR person who wrote this apology for him. He could have saved a lot better by just saying, including projects currently in production with cast and crew. He did not need to list each of these shows. Because it sounds more like a pitch.
Well, I don't know.
And my movie. The movie that had already dropped. And my movie. I don't know why you feel the need to list projects off.
It's...
Especially in the closing amendment of your apology.
I don't want to come off as somebody who's apologizing for him. But I could understand why he did it. Because... Yes, he very much so hurt these women and their perception of the careers that could have been ahead of them and the way they need to play it. It's abusive. It's something that as...
Oh, yeah, what he did's fucked up and it's wrong.
As a person in power, as somebody who is basically doling out the jobs... You shouldn't dole out a job to somebody and then ask them to do something, whether it be like a Harvey Weinstein case where it's like, but come perform sexual pleasure on me or you lose your job.
We know that's wrong.
That is very much so wrong. This is also wrong, where apparently you just sprung it on.
We know all these facts. It's wrong. It's disgusting. But the apology, to me, is tarnished in his statement with the seemingly plugging of his own shows.
I feel like it wasn't necessarily...
Not the apology is necessarily enough for...
I feel like it wasn't necessarily him apologizing. I don't take that as him plugging his shows. Those shows are gone. He knows that those shows are gone, and he is trying to save face with the people who were making money off of them. Like, whether big or small, trying to make their livelihood.
The guy with the boom mic, gotcha. I understand, but I don't like how I phrased it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. This is an interesting conversation, though. Like, I haven't heard this brought up, and like even the big stars, the people who know Louis C.K., like, I don't hear them talking about like the fucking dude with the goddamn boom mic. You know? I don't hear them talking about his original apology and their perspective on it. Honestly, I don't fucking know. Neither do you.
No.
Neither do they. But
I'll tell you one thing I know.
What?
Louis C.K. fucking pulled his wiener out.
And it's just like, oh, can I jerk off in front of you?
And he fucking made jokes about it, too. That's okay. Not wasn't really a fan. And it is what it is, unfortunately.
You know, are you a fan of Conan O'Brien?
I was. I haven't seen his show in ages.
Yeah, well, Louis was a writer for him. Yep.
Yeah. But did he write Triumph?
No, that was Schmeigel.
Yep. That was one
Schmeigel.
of my favorites.
All right, there's
Louis C.K. was on fucking the Dana Carvey show too, wasn't he?
I'm
gonna Google it. I'm pretty sure he was.
I've kind of as having that as my text message tone, I've kind of just adapted it in my that was a bad one.
Yeah, he was on it.
All right.
He was on the Dana Carvey show.
Okay, riddle me this, Batman. This came up earlier with my father, Michael Richards, Kramer. What happened to him? My dad asked me about this. He has basically gone away forever.
He's become a hermit and a recluse. He was on a very sad and depressing episode of Comedians.
Yes.
Cars.
And that's what
where they were having a good time, and then it all went downhill. It was like hanging out with your depressive friend.
Finish the title of the show, Comedians and Cars, Getting Coffee.
Getting Coffee.
With Jerry
Seinfeld. Sorry.
So
what a lengthy name.
I brought that up with my dad earlier because he was bringing up, he's like, could you find me a copy of Trial and Error? Because that's a movie with Michael Richards, the guy who played
Kramer.
Yeah, Michael Richards is Kramer. Trial and Error.
The TV.
Rip Torn is the guy who's being prosecuted.
I keep getting a TV series.
Type in Trial and Error Michael Richards. You'll find it. I really liked this movie as a kid, even though I didn't really understand it. I was like, Kramer, funny.
I always enjoyed Michael Richards. I remember when the incident happened at the Laugh Factory.
Well, that was the thing.
The man had some sort of a nervous breakdown almost. It was mental snapping.
Comparing this to Louis C.K. and his incident, this was with Michael Richards just a moment where he said some shit that he probably shouldn't have said.
Definitely shouldn't have said.
He immediately went on, I think it was Letterman, and apologized for it. But
damage is done.
It's been years, and it's not even like people attacked him for it. The man is mentally broken. Jerry Jerry Seinfeld, I almost said Springer.
Jerry. I'm sorry.
He talked to him and he was like, maybe you should, try some stuff out again. And he's just like, no.
I'd rather play chess with the old man outside of hobo furniture moving or whatever.
The man just seems so broken from that incident. And I'm not saying that makes it okay.
Slope drop.
But it's been years. I mean, Mel Gibson has shown his face and directed movies and come back since he went crazy and made a bunch of statements.
Yeah, Mel Gibson's just crazy, though. And he's made other ridiculous statements, too. Not approving his actions whatsoever.
But
I do love Mad Max.
I remember Dave Chappelle talking about it. He said it specifically in a stand-up bit about his, which was kind of like a cool way of him just like reaching out, like trying to like bridge some relations and like people's perception of it. He was like, "Oh man, I just remember that day Kramer, like he was
off the handle.
He was standing on the stage. He's like, man, I just look back at this stage. I just remember Kramer flying off the handle, and I remember watching that, and I was like, oh. I was like, that. He was like, that day, I realized I was like 20% black, 80% comic. Where I was like, oh my God.
He's getting...
And then the other 80% of me that was comic is like, dude's having a bad set.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
That's just that thing, though, that... unless you've been on a stage and you're just bombing, and I'm not talking about stand-up comedy, I'm talking about being on stage for bombing. Anything, just getting booed, or just nobody's paying attention to you. You can't understand that position until you've been in it.
Well... Michael Richards, Elon Musk, and Louis C.K. are all very different.
Is that Donald Trump?
That's Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, I know. That's the other person I couldn't think of. Jeff Daniels.
The uncle from... Right, he's the uncle from Full House? No, he's not.
No.
What the fuck did Jeff Daniels do?
Jeff Daniels was co-star to Jim Carrey in the original Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah. That's why he's familiar.
He was also in Matt Damon's Space Rescue.
But Michael Richards, Louis C.K., and Elon Musk, they're all very different people. And you have to take everything on a very individual basis.
God, is this like another hour? It's like a bonus hour?
Yeah, if they give a shit.
Hey, man, hot topic. All right.
Might even be a little too spicy.
Hey, man, nobody's watching it. All right. Live long, prosper.
Be kind to your neighbors.